So to start this look off, I'm just going to spray my face with the NYX Primer spray. And I like this spray because it is very light on the skin. And I'm just going to tame my brows a little bit with the spoolie before I fill them in. I'm using the NYX Tame and Frame Pomade in the color Espresso. And when I fill my brows in, I start from the middle and where it starts to thin out, and I just go to the tail end and fill them in. And whatever product is left on the brush, I just fill in the front with, because the front of my brows are already pretty much full. And I do take a long time on my brows, as you can see, because I want them to be as perfect as they can be. Your brows is what shapes your face for the rest of your look. So if your brows are off, no matter how pretty the rest of your makeup is, it's going to be off if your brows are not right. So I'm just blending it out, because we don't do boxcar eyebrows. No ma'am. So with a flat brush, I am going to use the Pro LA Girl Concealer in the color Cool Tan to sculpt out my brows. And I'm just going to blend that concealer in. And I love this concealer. I always use this to do my brows because it's thick enough that it can carve them out, but thin enough that it blends into the skin seamlessly. So I love this concealer. So I'm just going to repeat the process on the other brow. Did I mention I take a long time on my brows? So I'm using the matte paint pot and soft ochre all over my lid to prime my lid. And to set that, I am going to use the Mercier translucent powder. And I think this is my first time setting my my lids before I actually put on the eyeshadow. But I like doing this process because it makes the eyeshadows go on very smooth. So I might do this from now on. So I'm using that color Morocco from the Nubian 2 palette, which is a very pretty orange color. It's like a burnt orange. And all the colors in this palette from the Nubian 2 palette and the Nubian 1 palette are gorgeous. There's not a color in this palette I don't like. Now I'm just using that dark brown color from the Nubian 1 palette, and it's got some reddish undertones, so I'm just putting that right under that orange to kind of warm up my eyes a little bit. So blending, blending, blending. I'm just going to blend. And for my lid, I'm using ColourPop's Cosmetics eyeshadow in the color Animal. And the camera really does not do this color justice because it's more of a coral shimmery color versus pink. But it comes off pink in the camera and the light. But to blend that out, I am going to use Madagascar, which is like, it's a brown color, just a basic brown. Now I'm going to use that burgundy color. It's like a shimmery burgundy, which you really can't see on camera, but it's a really pretty shimmery burgundy. I'm just using that to warm up my eyes a little more. And I'm going back in the ColourPop on my lids because I blended some of that away with the blending. And I'm just using a plain fluffy brush. There's nothing on the brush to blend that out. I'm going to go in with the champagne color from the number 1 palette, and I'm just going to put that in the corners of my eyes to open them up a little bit. Now I'm using the darkest color from the Nubian 1 palette, and I'm using that as my eyeliner. And I'm just going to clean up any fallout with my e.l.f. wipes, and these are my favorite makeup wipes. So I'm just using the MAC color corrector in the color Peach Lustre, and I'm just going to put that around the dark areas of my mouth And I'm going to try this with a brush, because I find that when I use a beauty blender, I pretty much pick up all the product that I just put down. And I'm going to put that under my eyes also. I normally don't put it under my eyes, but I'm just trying something new. Now I'm using my Maybelline BB cream in the color medium dark and dark. I always have to mix the two. One day somebody will make a foundation that I don't have to mix, that I just buy in the bottle. But until then, I always have to mix it. And I am going to blend this out with a dual fiber brush. And this just makes your makeup look flawless. Very light, kind of an airbrush look to it when you use this brush. So I'm just blending all that out. Blend, 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 and I'm also going to blend that down my neck as well. Now with the wet beauty blender, damp beauty blender, I'm going to just blend out that BB cream. And I do this because brushes tend to leave streak marks when you use them to put on foundation or cream, but the beauty blender doesn't. So I'm just using my favorite concealer for under eyes, and that's the Nars Creamy Concealer in the color Caramel. And I'm just going to highlight my face with it. I'm using that same damp beauty blender, and I'm going to blend out the concealer. And to blend all this out takes a while, so I did cut a lot of this out because just blending makeup seamlessly does take a little minute. But your efforts will pay off, so just blend, blend, blend. And I was using the back of the beauty blender to pick up extra product. I put a little more concealer than I wanted down under that eye. And I'm just going to blend out the other one the same way. So I'm using the Mercier translucent powder as well as the Sasha Buttercup powder to set my highlighted areas, and I find this works better with my skin tone. The Mercier powder kind of leaves me a little ashy, and the Buttercup powder is too yellow, but combined together it's a perfect match for my skin tone. So I'm just going to continue to set those areas, and I'm just using a fluffy brush to brush away the excess powder. Now I'm just using the black Radiance powder in Bronze Glow as a contour shade, and I'm basically using this to outline my contour with, because I always use two contour colors. This is just basically the base, and I find that doing that, it adds a little more dimension to the face. So I'm just applying that around my cheekbones, my temple area, around my forehead, and also around my jawline. Now I'm also going to apply the NYX matte bronzer in the color Dark Tan, and this has like reddish undertones, so I find that combining it with the black Radiance powder gives me a really pretty contour. So I'm using a Ruby Kisses mineral powder in the color Mocha, and I'm just using that to blend together the dark contour and my highlighter areas, as well as set any areas of my face that were not set with powder. So I'm using the Wet n Wild bronzer in the color Sand-Gria Castles, and I'm just putting that on the highest parts of my cheekbones as a highlighter. I'm also going to pop that on my forehead and down the bridge of my nose. And this color is really pretty. It kind of reminds me of the Lorac Tantalizer, but a cheaper version of it. But the color payoff is still really pretty. Now I'm going back into the black Radiance powder to contour my nose, and I'm carrying that contour powder all the way up into my eye socket, so it just brings the eyes and the nose together, so you don't have a floating contour on your nose. I'm just putting the eyeshadow I use in the corner of my eyes. I'm popping that under my brow, on my brow bone, to highlight that. And I'm using the e.l.f. clear brow gel to set my eyebrows. I'm using the e.l.f. lip scrub, lip exfoliator, and you have to use that when your lips are wet. So I wet my lips and rub that on, and you see I'm immediately rubbing that off because it tastes horrible. It's a great product, but it tastes horrible. So I was ready to get that off. So I just added a little more moisturizer because the lipstick I'm using is a matte lipstick. So I want to make sure my lips were hydrated. And that is from the MAC Brooke Candy Collection in the color Doowop. And I'm just using a random hot pink lip liner that I picked up at the my local beauty supply store.